in the past these the leadership models, we have talked about the leader member exchange model, then AOR model, Hershey and Blanchard's model, then we talk about the decision making normative decision making model, then we have talked about the Fiedler's model, and then we have talked about the path goal theory model. In continuation of this different style of leadership, now today we will talk about the charismatic and transformational leadership style is there. So, here we will talk about the charismatic leadership, types of the authority systems, transactional leadership, transformational leadership, charismatic versus transformational leadership, charismatic and transformational leadership common, case studies, as usual the case study research papers and the book recommendations we will talk about is there. So, whenever we are talking about the charismatic leaderships, leaders are passionate driven individuals who can paint a compelling vision of the future. Right. Through this vision they can generate high levels of excitement among the followers and build a particularly strong emotional attachment with them is there, right. So, therefore, in that case whenever we are talking about the leadership, right. So, with the leadership it is always concerned with the vision is there. So, naturally when we are talking about the leadership then definitely a vision will be there. So, generate the high levels of excitement, that is just this generation of high level of excitement, that is a strong emotional attachment and connect basically. The word which I would like to use here for the strong emotional management attachment is there, that is the connect. So, therefore, in that case we will find that is whenever we want to make this particular this relationship between the leader and the followers, then it becomes very important, that is we are having the that connect with that vision, emotionally connect. Some charismatic leaderships can result in positive and relatively peaceful organizational or the societal changes are there, and therefore, in that case whenever we are talking about the implication, practical implication of this charismatic leadership is that is a peaceful organization is there or the societal change is there. Mahatma Gandhi and Nelson Mandela have done a commendable work for their respective countries. These are the examples are there. On the downside, when this passion is for the selfish gains, history mournfully suggests it can have an equally devastating effect on the society. Examples might include the Hitler of Germany or the Kim Jong-un of North Korea. Charismatic leadership is resting on the devotion to the exceptional sanctity, heroism or exemplary character of an individual person. End of the normative patterns or the order really revealed or the ordained by him. So, then about the Max Weber we will talk about 1970s charismatic leadership was studied primarily by the historians, political scientists and the sociologists is there. Now, this is becoming the very much important for us, that is the if you want to create the history, everybody whenever he is in the leadership position, then he wants to put a landmark, he wants to put a footsteps, so that is the others can follow it, and then he wants to be the historians also. So, that is the historical decisions, historical steps, right, and that will be the achievement of this charismatic leadership will be there, right. So, earlier it was the historians, scientists and sociologists they have followed this particular type of these charismatic leaderships are there. Of this the early research, Max Weber arguably wrote in 1964 the single most important work, where he maintained that societies could be categorized into one of three types of authority system, that is a traditional one, legal, rational and the charismatic is there. Now, in the traditional authority system, the traditions are the unwritten laws of the society dictate who has authority and how his authority can be used. Now, this is very important, that is a positioning. You see, earlier in the society what has unwritten means well accepted as a tradition, that is the who has the authority and how his authority can be used, right. So, therefore, it will be decided by the society will decide. So, leader was driven by the conditions of the society. The transfer of authority in such system is based on the traditions such as passing power to the firstborn son of a king after the king dies. and therefore, in that case the society was having this dictation, that is the power to the firstborn son of the king after the king dies is there. In the legal rational authority system, a person possesses the authority not because of tradition or the birthright, like in the previous case we have seen in the traditional authority system, but because of the laws that govern the position occupied. Right. For example, elected officials and most leaders in non-profit or publicly traded companies are authorized to take certain actions because of the positions they occupy, and the powers in this position itself rather than in person who occupies the position is there. And therefore, in that case once the like a manager, you can say, when the manager becomes a charismatic leader, how he is becoming the charismatic leaders? When he has occupied a particular position, and on that position what he is doing, that is he is having that the decision making style in such a way that he is creating on the basis of that position, he creates that authority, and in this case that legal rational authority system that is making these particular aspects in the case of this that how that charismatic leader he has been evolved. So, he has been evolved by the position. However, in the previous example in the traditional authority system, it is by the tradition of the society, the person has occupied the that particular position of the leadership. But in the charismatic authority system, when we talk about people derive authority because of their exemplary characteristics. Charismatic leaders are through to possess superhuman qualities or powers of the divine origin, right. And here now the question arises, that is whether are you able to develop that superhuman qualities, right. What are the superhuman qualities that we will see in the traits of the charismatic leaders? Are the powers of divine, right, that is that we say, that is the he is having the God element, right. So, many people, for our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, they say that is it is the element of God. So, powers of divine origin that set them apart from the ordinary mortals are there. The locus of authority in this system rests with the individual possessing these unusual qualities. So, there are certain unusual qualities are there which the individuals are possessing, and as a result of which they are becoming the powers of divine or the superhuman quality. It is not derived from the birthright or laws. It is not because that is the they have born in a particular family, or they have given the legal any authority relationship by the position only. So, because the many country heads, they may have the positioning power, right, but not necessarily they will be having the charismatic leadership. According to Weber, charismatic leaders come from the margins of society. They emerge from the margins of society and emerge as leaders in times of great social crisis is there. And whenever they serve the society, I would like to connect here, we will talk later on also, that is a servant leadership, and leaders in the times of the great social crisis that will be doing. These leaders focus society both on the problems it faces and on the revolutionary solutions proposed by the leader. So, thus charismatic authority systems are usually the result of a revolution against the traditional and legal rational authority systems. So, charismatic leaders, they are coming the out against or out of the box as a result of other than the your traditional systems of the leadership style is there, or when your legal that authority position relationship is there, or the position leaders position is there, and then they are emerging as a charismatic leader. No, it is not like this. Rather than they first they are coming up the margins of the society, and secondly they have coming out of the revolution, and as the revolution takes place the leaders these charismatic leaders and they emerge. Here we will find about that transactional leaders. Who are the transactional leaders are there? The debate surrounding charismatic leadership shifted dramatically with the publication of the James McGregor Burns Leadership, Burns 1978, and Burns was a prominent political scientist who had spent a career studying leadership in the national political arena. He believed that leadership could take one of the two forms, transactional or the transformational is there. First we will take the transactional leadership. Transactional leadership occurred when leaders and followers were in the some type of exchange relationship. What type of the exchange relationship is there? To get the needs meet. So, therefore, what they are fulfilling? They are fulfilling the needs of each other. The exchange could be economic. So, therefore, this can be the economic exchange or political exchange or the psychological exchange, and examples might include exchanging money for work, votes for political favors, loyalty for consideration, and so forth. So, therefore, transactional leadership, which is coming to the give and take exchange relationship is there, and therefore, it is having the exchanging money for work. And there what happens, that the leader is in the position because he is giving that salary pay packages is there, or there may be the votes for the political favors also. There in that case you will find that is that the transitional leader has emerged as contributing to the society, and society is giving him the votes, or the loyalty for consideration is there, and therefore, in that case because he is having the loyalty for the organization, and organization is giving something. Transactional leadership is common, but tends to be transitory, in that there may be this is very important word, because you will understand difference between the transactional and transformational leadership on the basis of this transitory. Transitory means with the period of time. So, therefore, in the case of the period of time, in that there may be no enduring purpose to hold parties together once a transaction is made. So, once transaction is done, forget about it. Right. So, therefore, in that case in the transactional leadership it is existing till the transaction takes place. Burns also noted that while this type of leadership could be quite effective, it did not result in organizational or societal change, and instead tended to perpetual and legitimate the status quo also. So, therefore, this type of leadership will be, if it did not result in societal change, right, rather than it will be the perpetual and legitimate the status quo, and therefore, in that case you will find this transactional leadership is have been with the period of time which is the working. While when we are talking about the transformational leadership, the second form of leadership suggested by Burns in transformational leadership is which changes the status quo by appealing to followers' values and their sense of higher purpose. The transformational leaders articulate the problems in the current system. So, therefore, here it is the changes the status quo, while the transactional, that is going with the development period of time and then it stops. But here it is challenging the status quo, that is the followers' values and their sense of higher purpose. So, they are comfortable, they are working in a particular style of the value systems, and here the leader, what he does, he changes. It challenges and changes. Transformational leaders articulate the problems in the current system, and he finds out that what is wrong is going on in the current system, and have a compelling vision of what a new society or organization could be, and that is the change. Basically, this is related with the change management is there, transformational leadership. Transactional is also is a change definitely, but then in that case transactional is the periodical change is there, and therefore, in that case it is a give and take, and the directions have been given, the followers are performing, and the money is paid, or loyalty for consideration, and all these aspects are there. But here it is totally a change. And whenever we are talking about a change, a vision has been given, and that vision is creation of the new society. So, normally what the leader wants to transform the organization. Why the transformational leadership? To take it to the next level by totally changing, by the followers values are changed, their sense of the higher purpose have been changed, and this new vision of the society is intimately linked to the values of both the leader and the followers, but it is not forcefully, it is not a push technique of change, right, rather than it is the he gives a vision. Transformational leader just says that is no, this our society has to be tech savvy society, technology oriented society, There has to be science and technology behind the principles, and therefore, it should be art also, because we are studying the management. So, we always talk about the balancing between the science and art, but the science, that is about the change of the technology, developing the society, making it the modern society, not the western society I am talking about the modern society. That is for that purpose the vision has to be given, and it represents an idea, that ideal that they congruent with their value systems are there. But we be careful, if you want to be the transformational leader by studying this, then in that case, yes, you can change, you can create a vision, but that vision should not change the value system. That is the beauty. Our society culture, society values, societal norms, that should not be changed, but ultimately what we are changing? We are changing the society with the modern look, and that is where technology based look is there. I am giving just one example, and this example can be applicable for the organization also. So, organizational values will not change, the norms will not, organizational norms will not change, but the organizational look will change, organizational will be more tech savvy. So, according to Burns, transformational leadership is ultimately a moral exercise in that it raises the standard of human conduct. Standard of human conduct is raised, not the change. That implies that the acid test for transformational leadership might be the answer to the question, do the changes advocated by the leader advance or hinder the development of the organization or society? It is a very big question. Now, dear friends, you please understand that is whenever any leader is advocating a change, where it leads to, whether it is leading to the development of the society or it is leading towards the hinder the development of the society, because if it is for the short term, so you will find it is a development, but long term it is the hindrance. So, be careful, that is there should not be the hindrance, that is your original values, organizational values, societal values, that remain has to be same. Transformational leaders are also skillful at reframing issues. They point out how the problems or issues facing followers can be resolved if they fulfill the leader's vision of the future, and therefore, leader should be enough skillful, that is with the remaining your values, how he will making the changes that will be there for their problems. The current problems will be changed and resolved if they fulfill the leader's vision of the future, and these leaders also teach followers how to become leaders in their own right and incite them to play active roles in the change movement is there. So, whenever we are talking about the charismatic versus transformational leadership, all transformational leaders are charismatic, but not all the charismatic leaders are transformational. Transformational leaders are charismatic because they can articulate a compelling vision of the future. So, and therefore, in that case what they do? They are creating a future and strong emotional attachment with the follower. However, this vision and these relationships are aligned with followers' value systems and help them to get their needs met. So, therefore, in that case when we are talking about the charismatic leaders are there, they are more focused with the value systems of the followers. Whenever we are talking about the charismatic leaders who are not transformational, can convey a vision and form a strong emotional bonds with the followers, but they do so to get their own needs met, that is a leader's need met is there. So, both charismatic and transformational leaders strive for the organizational or the societal change. The difference is whether the changes are for the benefit of the leader or for the benefit of the follower, and naturally what you will be looking for? You will be looking for the benefit of the follower. However, the leaders can work for their own benefits also, but definitely we will be seeing this vision and these relationships are aligned with the followers are there. So, here it is becoming very important, that is the emotional connect with the followers is very important, and then they should be developed. Now, I would like to take the certain comparison between the charismatic leadership and the transformational leadership is there. A leader is the head of the show, and he is in charismatic leadership vision fulfillment by stimulating followers to leaders vision, and the charismatic leaders are most likely to emerge in crisis situation from the margins, and behavioral aimed at leader driven goals and promote feelings of obedience and dependency in followers. While in case of the transformational leadership, leader is open to followers inputs and participation. Vision fulfillment inclusive of follower and leader vision. It is not followers to leaders vision only, but it is inclusive of followers and leaders vision. Transformational leaders can emerge at the different levels of the organizational. Behavior aimed at encouraging teamwork and commitment to share the goals are there. So, here in the case of the charismatic leadership, the behavior is aimed for the feeling of obedience and dependency in followers. The follower should follow the leader, while in the transformational it is encouraging the teamwork and commitment to share the goals are there. Though there are several fundamental differences among the charismatic and transformational leadership, many researchers like the Bass and Bass 2009 who do not differentiate charismatic from transformational leadership or see charisma as a component of the transformational leadership. There are different common threads to both charismatic and transformational leaderships area to leader characteristics, because if it is the leader oriented, right, then in that case then what is the characteristic of a leader? Followers characteristics if it is a transformational, or the situational characteristics it is for both. So, common leader characteristics are the vision. Both transformational and charismatic leaders are inherently future oriented. They involve helping a group move from here to there. So, therefore, in that case they recognize the shortcomings of the present order and offer an imaginative vision to overcome them. In both the cases, whether it is a charismatic or it is a transformational, both the leaders they want to go for the future vision. Then rhetorical skills. Charismatic and transformational leaders have superb rhetorical skills that heighten followers' emotional levels and inspire them to embrace the vision. So, therefore, both are what they are catalyzing emotions of the followers. Both the contents of their speeches and the way they are delivered are vitally important. Image and the trust building. Leaders build a trust in their leadership and the attainability of their goals through an image of seamlessly unshakable self confidence, strength of moral conviction, personal example of the self sacrifice and the unconventional tactics to behavior is there. This is the image of the leader is there. Personalized style of leadership. Leaders share strong personal bonds with followers even when the leader occupies a formal organizational role. It is a personalized leadership style that seems to be responsible for the feelings of empowerment notable among the followers are there. So, therefore, it is a personalized style of the leadership is there. Now, whenever we are talking about that is the identification with the leader and the vision, the followers bond with a leader because they may be intensely dissatisfied with the status quo and see the implementation of the vision as a solution to their problems are there. While in case of these heightened emotional levels are concerned, where the leaders are having the high emotional levels in the both the cases, whether it is a charismatic or it is a transformational, we have seen in both the cases it is becoming very important the followers emotions. So, common follower characteristics are there, that is they are driven, followers are driven by the emotions and leader offers to do all they can to maintain them. Their emotions are to be protected, including getting followers to think about their dissatisfaction with the status quo, that is the why they are in the current situation and there are certain problems, are making impatient appeals directly to followers, are sensitizing them that this current situation is not favorable and therefore, it is better that is the we are creating for the future goals. Willing subordination to the leader. So, they are not only emotionally charged, but involves the followers submissiveness to leaders authority, and followers often naturally and willingly submit to the leader's apparent authority and the superiority is there, and therefore, in that case it is becoming the naturally and willingly what followers are doing, because the vision is created. The vision which has been created by the leader, which is emotionally connect of the followers, and therefore, there is nothing like the resistance. They become the followers. They become the followers because they are naturally and willingly, because of the common vision or goal. these feelings of empowerment. So, what will happen? That is when they will become the leaders, what will happen? That is they will be having this particular achievement with the help of the empowerment. Leaders set high expectations while expressing confidence in their abilities and providing ongoing encouragement and support. Somewhat paradoxically, followers feel stronger and more powerful at the same time, and they willingly subordinate themselves to the leader is there. So, what are the common situation characteristics? Crisis is one. An important situational factor associated with the leadership is the crisis. Although it may not make every leader look charismatic, but it may set the stage for the particular kinds of leader behaviors to be effective. Social networks. Attributions of the charisma will spread more quickly in organizations having well established social networks, where everybody tends to know everyone else. So, therefore, that will be the social network will be developed. There will be the downsizing. People believe that downsizing destroys the implicit contract between the employer and employee, and it greatly diminishes the odds of the charismatic leadership emergencies there. So, if there is a downsizing, then definitely it will go into the diminishes the odds of the charismatic leader. Time. Another dimension is very important is the time. It takes time for leaders to develop and articulate their vision, then heighten followers emotional levels, build a trusting relationship with the followers, and direct and empower followers to fulfill the vision. Now, here I would like to take a very beautiful case study, that is a keeping up with the Bill Gates. Bill Gates inherited intelligence, ambition and competitive spirit from his father, a successful Seattle attorney. After graduating from a private prep school in the Seattle, he enrolled in the Harvard, but dropped out to pursue his passion computer programming. Paul Allen, a friend from the prep school, presented Gates with the idea of writing a version of the basic computer language for the Altair 8800, one of the first personal computers on the market. Driven by his competitive nature, Gates decided he wanted to be the first to develop a language to make the personal computer accessible for the general public. He and Allen established the Microsoft Corporation in 1975. Gates' passion and skill were programming. He would work hard to meet the extremely aggressive deadlines as he set for himself and his company. Eventually, Gates had to bring in other programmers. He focused on recent college graduates. We decided that we wanted them to come with clear minds, not polluted by some other approach to learn the way that we like to develop software, and to put the energy into it that we ought to was key. In the early days of Microsoft, Gates was in charge of product planning and programming, while Allen was in the charge of the business side. He motivated his programmers with the claim that whatever deadline was looming, no matter how tight, he could beat it personally if he had to. What eventually developed at Microsoft was a culture in which Gates was king. Everyone working under Gates was made to feel there were lesser programmers who could not compete with his skill or drive, so they competed with each other. They worked long hours and tried their best to mirror Gates' his drive, his ambition, his skill. Everybody put the very high efforts. This internal competition motivated the programmers and made Microsoft one of the most successful companies in the computer industry and one of the most profitable. The corporation has created a tremendous amount of wealth. Many of its employees have become millionaires while working at Microsoft. Bill Gates, currently one of the richest men in the world. During the 1990s, Bill Gates' net worth grew at an average rate of $34 million per day, that's $200 million per week. Gates needed a castle for his kingdom, so he built a much talked about house on Lake Washington. The house lies mainly underground and looks like a set of separate buildings when viewed from above. The house was conceived as a showcase for the Microsoft technology. It took $60 million, 7 years of planning and construction, and 3 generations of computer hardware before it was finally finished. Now, these are the questions for your assignment. Would you classify Bill Gates as a charismatic or transformational leader? Because when what we have discussed and studied, that is the charismatic and transformational, question arises, this development of Microsoft by the leadership of Bill Gates, where do you classify? Consider the followers and employees of Gates. What are some unique characteristics of Gates' followers that might identify him as a charismatic or the transformational is there, and therefore identify that is the exactly what characteristics are there. This is the research paper, role of CEO, transformational leadership and the organizational factors on product innovation performance. The purpose of this paper is to examine the direct and indirect effects of the CEO transformational leadership on product innovation performance, and this research investigates the mechanism between CEO transformational leadership and product innovation performance to understand the process through which the transformational CEOs exert their influence is there. This particular research study is a quantitative research. Data were collected from 269 manufacturing firms in the Thailand through a mail survey. This research applied a two-step structural equation modeling process. The result indicates that is the CEO transformation leadership indirectly affects product innovation performance through an innovation culture, organizational learning and the new product development process is there. So, CEO transformational leadership has a strong effect on innovation culture and organizational learning with the NPD process, which significantly lead new product development process, which significantly leads to product innovation performance. By integrating the knowledge of the leadership and operations management fields, this study helps extend the understanding of how leaders at the top of an organization and that influence the new product development processes and product innovation outcomes. For practical implications to be more effective, CEO focusing on product innovation should develop their skills and behaviors of transformation leadership to foster the innovation culture and organizational learning is there, which in turn will affect the product innovation performance is there, and therefore, we can learn from this particular case study, that is the how charismatic and transformational leadership styles that can lead to the great success of the organization. This is the book Transformational and Charismatic Leadership, the road ahead, and this book is the 10th anniversary edition of Transformational and Charismatic Leadership road ahead, in theoretical and empirical work and the professional practice issues associated with the transformational and charismatic leadership. New research ideas are there, insights and directions for the future work is there. These are the different references which you can use for your further studies and for these detailed interest. And this is all about the charismatic and the transformational leadership which we have talked about, and I am sure that this will help you to develop a different style of leadership by understanding the followers, connecting with the followers and developing the followers with the emotional connect. This is the end of this session. Thank you.